Autistic burnout is a real thing. It is a topic that is often talked about in many autistic online groups that I'm a member of. It is estimated that 1 to 2% of autistic people may be affected, although I think the number is higher because it's talked about so much in many of the groups that I'm in. Now, this would mean, if this number is correct, that 1 to 2% of autistic people may be affected. This would mean that over a million autistic people could be impacted by autistic burnout. How do you know if you're an autistic burnout? Today, I will share 13 signs that may indicate you are experiencing autistic burnout. So let's get started. Hey, Define Yourselfer, I am Chris Mitchell from theconfidentautistic.com. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm an autistic adult, late diagnosed, an advocate for autistic adults, and a digital creator empowering other autistic adults and everybody else to embrace autism. Now, if this resonates with you, please show me some love by subscribing to the channel. When you subscribe, do not forget to ring the bell to be notified of new videos and when I go live. Autistic burnout is a medical condition, so technically, being diagnosed with autistic burnout should be done by a medical professional, possibly a general practitioner, psychiatrist, psychologist, maybe a counselor. But since there are some barriers in receiving diagnoses or finding someone qualified to make this diagnosis, it is totally acceptable to self-identify as going through autistic burnout. I personally self-identify as going through burnout at the time I'm making this video, which I explain why I'm going through that in a separate video, where I talk about what are some of the causes of autistic burnout. So be looking for that video or look for the link for it in this video's description. Now, autistic burnout is a state of emotional exhaustion, cognitive fatigue, and physical depletion that can cause a variety of signs and symptoms. Some signs of autistic burnout include the following. The first of the 13 signs we're going to discuss today that could indicate you are going through autistic burnout is a difficulty with skills. Now, you might have trouble with speech, language, executive function, self-regulation, or other skills. For me, during this time of autistic burnout, I'm having trouble with executive functions. I'm not thinking as clearly as I should. When this first started happening, I got to tell you, I was scared I was getting Alzheimer's or dementia. My father passed away from sundowners, which is a form of Alzheimer's or dementia. So I was scared. But as I learned more, it's probably because I'm going through burnout. The other thing that I'm struggling with is self-regulation. I'm having more difficulties regulating myself and keeping myself, calm and baseline and being able to be productive because of some sensory issues, which we'll talk about a little bit later in this video. And getting back to executive function, I like to just add in there, when I say I'm not talking, not thinking that clearly, I'm having trouble remembering stuff. And some tasks that used to be like, oh, I can do this, no problem. I have to Google and figure out, how do I do that again? While going through autistic burnout, you may experience an increased sensory sensitivity. This means you might be more sensitive to stimuli or need more sensory input. Now, for me, as I go through this, it's like my sensory issues are on overload, okay? I'm sensitive to noise, especially conversations. Crowded place, they have a lot of conversations or dialogue on the TV that's on constantly. That's an issue I have here at the house. That's a totally different story. Trust me on that. But I get so overwhelmed now by noise, conversations, whatever. And I'm also have visual sensitivities. I've always wore a hat because I like sun out of my eyes and all, and light, because it does help with light, because I did not realize it until I found out I was autistic. I have sensitivity to light, but that sensitivity goes beyond light. visual sensitivity, that is, goes beyond just brightness of light. I have sensitivity to clutter. Now, I love my wife, and I'm not trying to throw her underneath the bus, but there's one thing she can thrive in is clutter. I can't. So this house has a lot of clutter in it, and it drives me batty. I don't know if you can really relate to that or not, but those are some of my sensory issues. It's mainly light and sound for me, and smells. I don't know how my wife eats some of the. I love my wife. I really do. I honestly do. But I don't know how she eats some of the stuff she eats, because some of that stuff that smells, I have to eat before her, because if she prepares her meal and I smell it, I'm like, I don't want to eat at all right now. It's that offensive to me, and I just can't handle it. And I'm more sensitive to those smells now. And I'm gonna throw one more in, and we're gonna move on the list here. I don't know how my cat can eat his wet cat food. That thing stinks to high heaven. But for some reason, the cat loves it. And as long as he's eating it, hey, he's staying out of my Cheetos, so I'm pretty happy. When going through autistic burnout, you may experience mental health issues. This includes experiencing anxiety or depression. Now, some of us on the spectrum, i.e., me, we have anxiety even when we're not in burnout, and we have depression even when we're not in burnout. What this means is those conditions, those mental health issues, may become more noticeable to you or stronger. You may experience a higher level of anxiety or nonstop anxiety, which I have pretty much all the time right now, or increased amount of depression. And when you get to this point, this is important. I'll be a little trigger warning here, but when you get to depression, you want to be mindful that the leading cause of death in our community is suicide. So make sure, if you're having a lot of trouble with depression, reach out for help. If you're having trouble with your mental health, feeling depressed, whatever, think about self-harm, suicide, please, here in the United States, text or call 988. The qualified professionals on the other end who will help you through that and get you the resources that you need. You can also visit their website, which I have a link to in the video description. During autistic burnout, you may go through social withdrawal. Now, this means you might withdraw from your usual social activities or relationships. Now, for me, during this time of burnout, I notice a couple of things about myself. One, I notice I've decreased the amount of time I interact on social media or even look at social media. I have a friend of mine I normally text a couple of times a day. I notice that sometimes I will go 3, 4, 5 days without even texting that person. And I'm actually quieter around my wife than I normally am. During autistic burnout, you may experience repetitive behaviors. This means you might engage in more repetitive behaviors like stimming. I noticed that I've been playing with my needle ball, I mean, almost nonstop. This burnout's been going on for a while. I think it's been going on for longer than I've been playing with this ball. But I've been playing with this ball for almost 6 months nonstop. During autistic burnout, you may have trouble or difficulties with your daily living skills. Now, this may mean you may have trouble with activities of daily life, ADLs, like cooking, cleaning, or personal hygiene. And the seventh sign that you may be going through autistic burnout is experiencing sleep issues. This means you might sleep more or have trouble going to sleep. Now, for many autistic adults, I've seen this in discussion groups, it's true for me as well. Even when I'm not in burnout or I don't think I'm in burnout, I have trouble going to sleep. It's always been a battle. It's been a battle of mine since I was a little kid. I just had so much trouble falling asleep. But I noticed for me, when I'm in my burnout time, I will sleep more and be tired throughout the day, where all day I'm thinking a nap would be nice. Then I really mean and that would be nice. I just yawned. Then when I go to bed at night, I think I'm tired. I just can't go to sleep. The eighth sign that you may be going through autistic burnout is increased isolation. This means you might be spending more time alone than usual. I also believe it means you may feel more isolated, even if you're not spending less time with others than you normally do or more time alone. You may feel isolated. Now, I think for me, and this could be true for others, but I know this is going on with me. We talked earlier about social withdrawal. And when you start having social withdrawal, whether you're in burnout or not, you're that may lead to a sense of being isolated or increased isolation from the world. But yet, I think another reason, I know for me, and would not be surprised if this is true for other autistic adults, we have this increased sense, and I'm using the word because that's what it is to me, an increased sense of isolation because we're going through a burnout, and most of the people around us, this statistics show about 97, 98% of the people in the world are autistic. We're going through something that most people cannot relate to or understand. Then, on top of it, if we have trouble expressing how we feel or even identifying our feelings, we cannot express them. So, we're going through something that we don't even fully understand, and we feel like we're going through it alone because we can't tell to other people what's going on. So somebody can say to us, yeah, I understand, I've been there, yeah, I've done that too, you do that as well. We just can't do that, and this, I think, gives us an increased sense of isolation, especially when we're going through autistic challenges such as autistic burnouts. The ninth sign that you may be experiencing autistic burnout is irritability. This means you might feel more irritable or overreact to others' comments, sensory overload, anything. You could overreact to anything and everything. During my experience right now going through autistic burnout, I do know I'm more irritable and I'm very aware of it and I'm very conscious of it. So I guess you could say I'm trying to mask it, but I'm trying to manage it because you don't want to be irritable around people that you love and you're around all the time, all the time. I don't want to be irritable around my wife constantly. So I'm aware of it. And I know that I do overreact a little bit more than normal. But for me, when I'm not in burnout, I'm not that big of an overreactor. So I'm not really seeing too much of an increase in overreacting, but I have seen probably a 50% increase in being irritable. Well, some days 50%, sometimes lower, sometimes higher, but you get what I mean. I mean, I've seen some fluctuation in that area. And the 10th sign of autistic burnout is a loss of interest. This means you may lose interest and motivation in activities that you once enjoyed. I, for me, I'm not sure if I really am going through that or not. I know I've lost a lot of interest in watching baseball games. I used to enjoy that. But part of it is they've changed the rules of the game. They have the pitch clock now. They have replay, and the enormous salaries that they pay these players to play a child's game. It just really turned me off of the sport. So, but I lost interest in that, and I lost interest in doing things and going places. I noticed that in me as well. The 11th sign that you may be going through autistic burnout is self care issues. You might lose self care skills and have difficulty regulating emotions. I know that I'm having more, I call them mini meltdowns, okay, where I will just I get so sensory overloaded and stressed out or whatever, and not being able to control my emotions. I just at times go put my hands over my ears, or I will pull up my hair one night, and this I think more of a meltdown trait, but I just had I do think I had a meltdown that night, but I took a pair of scissors and started whacking hair off my head and it looked ugly for a while. I still think it does. I got to get to a barber, my barber, and get it fixed. But I've done that, and then more times I just just start getting frustrated and shaking like this, and I notice I'm doing that more frequently. With some of this, like I've never done before in my life until this burnout. So yeah, I'm having some trouble with difficulty with regulating my emotions and my sensory stuff. I have started listening to some relaxation music I set up on my Amazon devices. Don't want to say her name. There's one right in front of me, below my monitor, below the camera that you can't see, so I don't want to trigger her. And I found a wonderful I don't know what you call a station or playlist, but it's on Spotify, and I'm going to link it in the video descriptions. A playlist that actually makes that plays calming music, and it really works. The thing that I don't like about the station, and this is something I can change. I'm cheap. I have the free Spotify account, so I'm relaxing. I got 2 songs. Oh, I am so relaxed. Then a loud commercial comes in. Now, if I would pay about $10 a month for the Spotify membership, I would not have those pesky commercials. But that's my problem, not a Spotify defect. That's their way of getting you to pay money, I guess. I don't know. I also found some wonderful videos on YouTube that have relaxation music and images that helps with my sensory overload and regulating emotions. And I'm creating a playlist that's on this YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, where I added these that I found on YouTube, and I'm constantly finding great videos that I found relaxing. That helps me regulate my autism. And I'll share a link to that playlist in the video description so you can go there and check out some of those awesome videos other amazing creators have created for us in our community. During autistic burnout, our eating patterns may change. Now, this may mean you might seek out certain foods more or eat the same foods each day. This is something I think I'm going through on my autistic burnout. I now have a routine, and routines are good. And I'm going to be doing a video on the benefits of routines for autistic adults in the coming days or weeks. And maybe up now, if you're watching this in the archives, look for the link for it in the video description when it's available. Uh, I have a muffin every morning for breakfast, a ham and cheese sandwich with Miracle Whip. A sandwich isn't a sandwich with the zangy taste of Miracle Whip. For those of you over the age of 50, you're going to remember that commercial from the 70s. I'm dating myself. I'm sorry, I should stop doing that. Okay, so, and then in the evenings, I go through this thing like I don't know what to eat. So I've been eating a lot of junk food, comfort food, which is not going to be all that good when I go to the doctor in a few weeks. I'm also diabetic. That when I get my A1C test, I'm going to probably get a lecture. And deservingly so. But my rebuttal is going to be I'm going through some things, and she knows what they are. So I've been eating a lot of comfort food. But in the end run, that sounds like it's the truth, but it sounds like an excuse. And I do need to do better, and I'm going to work on that. But part of my eating patterns, every Friday night, I have a pizza night. That's been my reward. But the rest of the week, I just kind of snack on whatever I'm impulsively wanting to eat. Now, before we get to the 13th sign that you may be experiencing autistic burnout, I'd like to remind you that autistic burnout is not a character flaw or a weakness. It can be a consequence of trying to fit into a neurotypical world without the necessary support and understanding. Now, there's some other causes or situations that can cause us to go into burnout. I'm going to go into a deeper dive on that in a future video or another video where I explain what autistic burnout is, what are the causes, that kind of thing. So look for a link for that in this video description as soon as that video is available. And the 13th sign is physical health issues. Like you may be experiencing more physical health problems, and maybe more aches, more pains. Some you may want to call your doctor about, some just like annoying. I mean, it could be like, my arm is so stiff. I'm waking up and my arm is hurting every morning. Maybe you slept in it wrong, but if it continues, maybe it's a sign. And if it's a more serious issue like chest pains, you probably should check with your general practitioner or in my case, my cardiologist, because I am a cardiac patient. So that when you have more of these physical health issues, you could be going through autistic burnout. Or you might not, you may have a serious health concern that you should check with your doctor. Now, as I go through my autistic burnout, I don't have any physical health issues popping up that weren't there before. I have a few other physical health issues, but they already were there, nothing new. The reason I want to make that point is some people in the spectrum, I know I'm kind of like this. I take things literally, and I'm a black and white type of guy, which means it's all or nothing. And you're sitting here thinking, well, I only have a few of these. I don't have all 13. I don't have all 13. I have 11, and I'm going through burnout. You do not have to have all 13 of these. And you could have other other signs that you're going through burnout that I've not even covered. So now it is your turn. Please share in the comments any thoughts you have on this video and or any signs of autistic burnout that you experience I have not covered in this video. You can share those thoughts, like I said, in the comments below this video, or you can participate in the conversation in my new Facebook group, the Autistic Adults Embracing Autism Community. And a link to that community is in the video notes. Now, help our channel grow. And when I say our channel, you are an important part of the channel success. Because if you were not watching this video, subscribing to this videos, I would be sitting here talking to myself. I don't need to do any more of that because talking to myself is one of my stems. How can you help grow this, our channel? It's easy. Please like and share this video with everyone you know. Until next time, do whatever it takes to fully embrace your autism.